What if I told you that every dream you've ever had wasn't random? That the strange images, the people, the shadows, the symbols that visit you at night are not meaningless, but messages, a secret language of the mind. You wake up and remember fragments, a staircase that never ends, a stranger who knows your name, an old house you've never been in, yet somehow feels like home. Most people shrug and move on, dismissing it as just a dream. But what if these fragments are clues? What if they are a map? Carl Jung, one of the most mysterious thinkers of the 20th century, believed that dreams weren't private hallucinations, but portals into a deeper field of reality. He said they connected us to an ancient reservoir of symbols and knowledge, something he called the collective unconscious. And here's the unsettling part. Modern psychology has buried most of his discoveries. What you're about to hear isn't taught in universities, isn't spoken about in therapy, and isn't trending on social media. It is knowledge considered too powerful, too destabilizing, to be left in the open. So, let me ask you directly, have you ever had a dream so vivid that it felt more real than waking life? And what if that dream wasn't in your head, but a message from something far older than you, guiding you, warning you, awakening you? Jung's secret map of the mind might explain not just why we dream, but why reality itself works the way it does. And once you see it, you can never unsee it. Carl Jung wasn't just a psychologist. He was a rebel, a visionary, and in many ways, a spiritual cartographer. While Freud looked at the unconscious as a dark basement filled with repressed desires, Jung saw something radically different. A vast library of ancient wisdom hidden inside every human being. He called it the collective unconscious, a realm filled with archetypes. What are archetypes? Universal patterns of thought and experience. The hero, the mother, the shadow, the trickster. These weren't inventions of culture, Jung said, but fundamental structures of the psyche itself. The same symbols appear in myths from Egypt, Greece, India, and in your dreams last night. They are codes repeated across civilizations because they live in the architecture of the human mind. Imagine this. A person in ancient China dreams of a dragon, while someone in medieval Europe dreams of a serpent guarding treasure. And you dream of a giant snake blocking your way. Different cultures, different eras, yet the same symbol emerges. Why? Because Jung believed these images come from a shared psychic reservoir, deeper than personal memory, deeper than culture. But here's the danger. If dreams can reveal universal truths, they can also expose the illusions we live under. Jung warned that societies build masks, collective performances we call normal life, and dreams are cracks in that mask. They show you the truth behind the performance. That's why Jung was controversial. He wasn't just analyzing people, he was decoding civilization itself. And the institutions that relied on control, order, and obedience couldn't allow this knowledge to spread. So the question becomes, if your dreams are trying to wake you up, why were you taught to ignore them? Decades after Jung, neuroscience and quantum physics are beginning to confirm pieces of what he intuited. Sleep researchers have found that dreams are not just random noise, but essential for memory integration, emotional healing, and, most mysteriously, problem-solving. Some of history's greatest inventions came through dreams. The sewing machine needle, the structure of benzene, even elements of Einstein's relativity. But science goes deeper. Studies show that when people are deprived of dreaming, not just sleep, but dreaming specifically, their perception of reality fractures. They hallucinate, become paranoid, and lose their sense of self. In other words, dreaming is not optional. It is part of what makes us human. Now consider this. Jung said that dreams are like nature speaking to us in symbols. Jorden doter bekendam standards, and just as DNA carries genetic memory, dreams carry psychic memory, not just from your life, but from the entire history of humanity. What if that's why you dream of places you've never been, people you've never met, or symbols you never learned? Modern imaging shows that the dreaming brain activates regions linked not to logic, but to emotion, vision, and intuition. Exactly the areas Jung said connect us to archetypes. Science calls it neuroimaging. Jung called it the mythic imagination. And here's where it gets even stranger. In quantum physics, observation collapses probability into reality. Jung suggested that dreams do the same thing. They collapse unconscious potential into conscious possibility. That nightmare you had, maybe it wasn't just fear. Maybe it was showing you the hidden pattern shaping your choices. If this is true, then dreams aren't echoes of the day. They are instructions, warnings, and invitations from the deeper structure of reality itself. So ask yourself, why were you told dreams don't matter, when every culture before modernity treated them as sacred? Think about your daily life. You wake up, check your phone, rush to work, talk to friends, scroll, eat, sleep. But how much of that is actually yours? How much is programming? Jung said modern society replaces authentic experience with performance. We don't live life, we display it. On Instagram, on TikTok, on every platform, the image of life replaces life itself. One, and Jung warned of this exact danger. He called it the domination of the persona, the mask we wear to be accepted. The more we feed the mask, the more the shadow grows in silence. Dreams, however, bypass the persona. They drag the shadow out. That's why so many dreams are uncomfortable, even terrifying. They show you what your conscious mind refuses to admit. And here's the hidden control system. If you ignore your dreams long enough, you start mistaking the mask for who you are. You believe the job title, the profile picture, the social role is the real you. But inside, you feel the dissonance, the anxiety, the emptiness. Jung said that modern man risks losing his soul, not in a religious sense, but in a psychological one. The soul, he said, is that inner center that connects you to the archetypal field. Lose connection to it, and you become programmable, a perfect consumer, a perfect cog in the spectacle of society. So let me ask you, when was the last time you paid attention to your dreams? And what if ignoring them is exactly how the system keeps you asleep? Long before Jung, ancient cultures treated dreams as sacred doorways. Egyptians believed dreams carried messages from the gods. Indigenous shamans saw them as journeys into other realms. Greeks built entire temples, the Asclepions, where people slept to receive healing dreams. And here's the fascinating part. The symbols across cultures overlap with Jung's archetypes. The serpent, the hero, the great mother, the wise old man, they appear in tribal rituals, in temple carvings, in myth, and in your dreams last night. The ancients didn't need psychology degrees to know that dreams mattered. They lived by them. Jung was essentially rediscovering what humanity had known for millennia. But he gave it a modern vocabulary. He said, "Look, these aren't just myths. They are the architecture of the psyche itself." Contrast this with today, where dreams are dismissed as random brain noise. The ancients treated them as portals to transcendence. We treat them as irrelevant. Which worldview seems closer to truth? So maybe the question isn't whether Jung was right, but why we abandoned what every culture once knew. And what if, by ignoring dreams, we cut ourselves off from the very map that could guide us through life's chaos? Here lies the great choice. On one side, the glowing phone screen, the endless scroll, the shallow persona. On the other, the dream, the archetype, the ancient map of the unconscious. One path keeps you distracted, endlessly consuming, trapped in the matrix of images. The other path awakens you to symbols that connect you with all of humanity across time and space. One reduces you to a mask. The other expands you into myth. One makes you forget. The other makes you remember. So which will you choose? To keep scrolling or to start listening? Because every dream you ignore is a message lost. And every dream you remember is a piece of the map, leading you back to yourself. So how do you begin? You don't need complex rituals. You just need to pay attention. Keep a dream journal by your bed. Write even fragments. Over time, patterns will appear. When a dream image feels powerful, look it up, not in a dictionary, but across myths, symbols, and cultures. See how it resonates with your life. Before sleep, ask a question. Your unconscious will often answer in symbolic form. These practices aren't just about curiosity. They are acts of rebellion. Because every time you remember a dream, you're reclaiming a piece of your soul that the modern world wanted you to forget. Carl Jung left us a warning. Modern society will drown you in distractions until you no longer hear your inner voice. But he also left us a gift, the reminder that dreams are the key. Every night, your mind shows you the symbols that connect you to the great story of humanity. Every night, you are handed a map. The question is whether you will look at it or let it fade with the morning light. Because you are not just living your life. You are living a myth written across millennia, whispered through symbols, carried in dreams. And maybe, just maybe, tonight, when you close your eyes, you'll remember that truth. Welcome to Fragments of Reality.